The Dow fell as much as 391 points on Friday after losing 420 points on Thursday. It recovered some of those losses and was down about 200 points midday. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 both sank 1% before recovering their losses. So what's going on here? Essentially, there's been a big stock sell-off after Trump announced that there would be a 25% tariff placed on steel and 10% placed on aluminum. This is expected to be signed into law this week. What people are worried about now is other countries, particularly China, carrying out a retaliatory action. If other countries decide to hit back with their own tariffs on U.S. goods, export-dependent industries such as agriculture will become less competitive overseas. Now, this move has been denounced by America's largest trading partners, Germany, Canada, the United States, Australia, and the European Union. And the World Trade Organization said that they were deeply concerned about it. On Friday, Trump elevated concerns about a full-blown trade fight even further by tweeting that trade wars are good and easy to win. That helped bring down stocks for the second day in a row. The threat is that the cost of doing business in the U.S. will soar. American companies rely on aluminum and steel produced overseas, such as auto and plane manufacturers and construction. Imports make up about a third of the steel American businesses use every year, and more than 90% of aluminum used here. Shares of Boeing dropped 3% on Friday, General Motors and Ford slipped, and Caterpillar lost 2%. However, domestic manufacturers of steel and aluminum did quite well. U.S. Steel and AK Steel soared 6% and 10% respectively on Thursday. Century Aluminum spiked 7% on Thursday. Trump really is like a bull in a china shop here. What he's doing is reckless and irresponsible and can cause a great deal of damage. You can't just unilaterally decide to place tariffs on long-standing trade movements without some kind of retaliatory measure. Markets like stability. They like to know what to expect and when to expect it. For example, steel and aluminum producers have a general idea of how much they're going to need to produce to keep up with demand in a particular fiscal year. Suddenly altering that with tariffs completely throws off their plans and budgets. The same happens with businesses in the U.S. who have planned according to those prices. Their plans are now left in ruins. What this threatens to do is spark an outright trade war. Now, what Trump is doing is harming other economies. Now, other economies are going to turn around and do something that's going to harm the United States. And then Trump is probably going to retaliate against that. And then everything is going to start escalating and then could turn out into an outright trade war, which looks a lot like what happened before World War I. And in fact, in times like this, it's appropriate that we look back at what Lenin wrote, particularly if we look at the United States as being what he wrote about Britain and France. The other group of belligerent nations is headed by the British and French bourgeoisie, which is deluding the working class and the laboring masses by asserting that there is a waging of war for the defense of their native lands, freedoms, and civilization against the militarism and despotism of Germany. But, as a matter of fact, this bourgeoisie has long been using its billions to hire armies of the Russian Tsardom, and the most reactionary and barbarous monarchy in Europe, and prepare them for an attack on Germany. I think this passage by Lenin rings all too true nowadays. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.